So as I was mentioning previously, I probably would not say 27 and 1/4 of an hour. Just the same thing, I probably wouldn't say 27 and 1/4 of a degree. I'd probably try and convert that to the little parts. So think about like in hours. Well, how long is 1/4 of an hour? Well, how long is half an hour? Half an hour is 30 minutes, so a quarter of an hour must be 15 minutes. It's the same idea here, because every 60 seconds gives us 1 minute, and every 60 minutes gives us one more degree. So this 1/4 of a degree is really like an additional, is really like 15 more minutes. So how do you convert that? Well, to go from degrees to minutes, you multiply by 60. So maybe it'll help you remember, like, oh, well, to get to minutes, I want my answer to be in minutes, and I need to multiply. I don't know if that'll help you or not, but maybe. So 1/4 of a degree times 60 minutes for every degree, well, then 1/4 of 60 would be 15 additional minutes. Or if you want to convert that and do the little simplification, I don't care. But essentially that's 15 more minutes. So the way I would write this is, we still have the 27 full degrees, and then what's left, that little part of a degree, that 1/4 portion, is really like the same thing as 15 more minutes on top of the 27 degrees. So it's 27 degrees, 15 minutes. 62.2 degrees, again, like 0.2, it's not a full degree. How many minutes would 0.2 give us? Well, how many minutes would 0.2 hours be giving us? It's the same idea here. So for every so the part that we really need to change is the 0.2 part. We're still going to have the 62 full degrees. I'm just trying to figure out, like, well, how many more degrees does that 0.2 give us? So 0.2 degrees times 60 minutes for each degree. Well, think about, if you're like, oh, I don't know how to do that. Well, think about this. Well, what's 2 times 6? 12. So what's 2 times 60? 120. But then you've got a decimal that's moved over one place here. So move that 120, that decimal place, over one spot, and that would just be 12. So this is 12 additional minutes. So 62.2 degrees is really 62 degrees and an additional 12 minutes. To change from minutes to degrees. So going backwards, before we were going from degrees to minutes, now I'm going from minutes to degrees. To end up in degrees, think about how you're going to do that. Like if I have, like here I've got 38 degrees, 20 minutes. Well, how many degrees is 20 minutes? It's not a full degree. What fraction of a degree is it? Kind of like 30 minutes. Well, how much of an hour is really 30 minutes? It's half of an hour. How do you come up with that? Well, because I've got 30 minutes out of 60 it takes to make a full hour, so it'd be 30 over 60, that would reduce to half an hour. It's the same idea here. I have 20 minutes here, so I have 20 minutes. It takes 60 minutes to be able to create a full degree, so that would simplify to, I only have 1/3 more of a degree. So notice that to go from minutes to degrees, you've got to divide it by 60. So to end in minutes, you've got to multiply and by 60, and to end in degrees, you've got to divide by 60. So 20 out of 60 is another 1/3 of a degree. So this is really 38, not degrees, it's 38 and another 1/3 degree there. Given that this angle is a right angle, so that must mean that whole angle has to be 90 degrees, and then they give us this angle right here is 75 degrees, 33 minutes, 18 seconds, and they want to know how big this angle is down here. You're like, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. Well, take it easy for a second here. What if this just said 75 degrees? And I asked you, well, how big is this leftover angle down here? Well, you know the whole thing has to be 90 degrees, so that means that this angle down here would have to be 15 degrees. Well, how'd you do that? Well, maybe you did 75 plus 15. Oh, that would total up to 90, right? Or you can do that, well, the whole thing is 90 degrees, and if I take away this 75 degree angle, then what's left should be this angle that they're asking me about. So 90 take away 75 would give us 15 degrees for that angle. It's the same idea. It's just we don't have 75 degrees. We got a little bit more than that. We got 75 degrees, 33 minutes, and 18 seconds. But it's still the same thing. Still going to subtract it from 90 to come up with this leftover angle down here. So 90 degrees, take away. Now think back to grade school. Okay, we're gonna do a lot of grade school thinking here, elementary school. When you subtracted, you made sure to line up each of the place values and their correct place values. Do the same idea here. 90 degrees minus, I'm gonna write the 75 degrees right underneath the other degrees that I'm subtracting it from, and then the 33 minutes, and then the 18 seconds. Now, again, think back to elementary school. How did you deal with something like this? How would you deal with what if I had like, so this is kind of like a little thought, kind of a side note over here. How the heck in elementary school did we do subtraction? When you're very first learning how to subtract. Let's say you were doing like 251 minus 178. Okay, now maybe you can do that in your head, but in elementary school, like maybe you couldn't, especially when you're very first learning how to do subtraction. So how did you learn to do subtraction? Well, what you would do is you'd line up all the digits and you'd look at each of the ones digits and you'd say, oh, can I do 1 minus 8? Nope, I can't. So what would you do? You would have to borrow. You would go over to the tens digit and you would borrow one of those tens. So that leaves you with 4 there, or essentially that's like 40 rather than 50, and then additional 1 over here to give you 51. Okay, we're borrowing one of those tens, and how many ones does one of these tens give us? Well, it gives you 10 of them. So I already have 1 though, and I'm giving it an additional 10, so that's why this would change to an 11. And then you do the subtraction. You go, oh, 11 minus 8. Okay, I know that, it's 3. And then you'd move on to the tens digit, and you do, oh, well, the 4 take away the 7, 4 minus 7. Oh, wait, I can't do 4 minus 7. So I'm going to have to borrow again. Okay, here you have to do 2 borrowings. I know you're like, why am I learning this? Because it's going to help us with this problem, I promise. So if I borrow one of these 100s, 100, how many tens does 100 give me? Oh, and it gives me an additional 10 100s. So I'm going to add an additional 10 an additional tens, I think I said that wrong. 100 gives us 10 tens, right? So if I add an additional 10 of these tens, and that gives me no longer 4, but 14. And then you do the subtraction. Oh, 14, take away the 7. I can do that. That gives me a 7. And then 1 take away 1, it's nothing. So I would get the answer of 73. Moving back to our problem. Okay, really I've got 90 degrees and like 0 minutes and 0 seconds. So how the heck am I going to do that subtraction? Same idea as what we did just a minute ago. Okay, 0 take away 18, I can't do it. So I'm going to have to borrow. So if I go over to the next digit, uh-oh, there's none there to borrow. So what do I have to do? I've got to borrow again. I've got to borrow from the 100 or from the degrees. So I'm going to borrow one of these degrees. Well, if I have 90 of them and I borrow 1, that leaves me with 89 degrees. 89 degrees, 1 degree gives me how many seconds, or how many minutes? 1 degree does not give you 100 minutes. It doesn't give you 10 minutes. It gives you 60 minutes. There's 60 minutes for every 1 degree. And then, remember, I had to borrow twice because I still have to deal with that 0 minus that 18. So I'm going to borrow again. Okay, if I borrow one of these minutes, this is going to give me 59 minutes. So I borrowed 1 minute. How many seconds does 1 minute give me? It gives me 60 seconds for one of those minutes. So I had to borrow twice here. So if I think I'm ready to do the subtraction. 60 take away the 18. Oh yes, I can do that now. That would be 42 seconds. 59 take away the 33. That'd be 26 minutes. 89 take away the 75. That would give me 14 degrees. So that leftover angle must be 42 degrees, 26 minutes, and 42 seconds. Next page. Find the measure of angle MJH given that angle 1 is 35 degrees, 38 minutes, 58 seconds, and angle 2 is 63 degrees, 15 minutes, and 9 seconds. I want you guys to try this out. Find the measure of this entire angle MJH, knowing those two angles are that much. I think you can do it. Okay, so try that out. And then when you are done, then you are done watching these videos. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you tomorrow.